This video is one of the videos in the DiscoveryX interview series. If you want context on why this was made, etc., please see the first video in the playlist. So we are here in Toronto at the Enercare Center. You're in Toronto here at the Enercare Center for the DiscoveryX Conference. This is a conference that is put on to basically help get technology off the ground here in Canada once a year. What we do here is we have a bunch of small startup ideas and projects in universities and things like that. And you basically have researchers and you have funding institutions and government and a whole bunch of various people here because they have new ideas on how to solve various problems or challenges or what have you. And they come together to share them and ask for money. No, and collaborate and come up with different sorts of ideas and things and what have you. So for example, we've got Intellectual Property Ontario over here and a bunch of university campuses and there's a bunch of different stuff around here. So this is kind of the intro part. Maybe we'll go over and see somebody on the walk around. Spin this around. Hello again, friends. So we're here at this conference. But yeah, so you got a bunch of people with bright ideas on how to solve stuff. There's people who have solutions for sending robots down into mine shafts. There's drones with adjustable arms that like move and grab things. There's what looks like a PlayStation controller. Oh, that's interesting. It looks like aerospace video games here. Let's go look at this. They look busy. We'll get back to them. Look at all the stuff. There's so much stuff. It's almost like content overload. Just trying to figure out where we're going. This is White Tuque. Let's just see what White Tuque is up to. Hi there. I'm recording but not live. Are you good with being recorded?
Yeah, sure.
Excellent. So what do you guys do here?
So we're a cybersecurity firm.
Cybersecurity. Oh, this is perfect. This is going to be fantastic.
That could be good news or bad news.
Let's go with the spiel.
Yeah, so White Tuque is a firm founded about 5 years ago. All of the folks that founded it all come from global finance, military, large consulting firms dealing things at the largest scale. My background is actually in global crisis management. So for the big banks, we handled what they called the Fusion Center. So that brought together cybersecurity, physical security, anti-money laundering, all that kind of disaster-related stuff, and really kind of brought it under one umbrella. So in building White Tuque, we kind of grabbed the same people I would have grabbed in those major incidents, people that have been doing it at a very large scale, and we're taking what we learned on those very bad days to develop methodology to really help underserved industries and underserved companies here in Canada and give some, different alternative to some of the large consulting firms. In parallel, we're actually taking that methodology and we're doing some R&D and development to really help organizations really help handle those crisis situations through a very bad day and help prevent them as well. So we're involved in lots of things.
Exclusively cyber focused, or do you branch out into other things?
I would say technology risk focused, perhaps. One of the things that we do is really look at an organization's like digital crown jewels and their critical functions. A lot of the very first conversations that we have don't involve tech at all. I want to understand what makes you a business,
Sure.
What critical functions actually makes you a business, and then kind of go back to that. What tech supports that? How do we keep it online and keep you guys resilient to attack and technology outages as well?
So Prepared Canada, the thing this channel is for, we're not really a competitor actually, we're close. We do something very similar. So we do business continuity, but we do it through a disaster risk reduction lens.
Yeah.
And it isn't really IT focused. Once it gets into something hyper specialized like that, we call in a partner.
Yep.
But it's more so on the initial outset holistic approach, and we're focused on generally very small companies.
Yep.
We do have some multinationals, but it's the something entry level for the ma and pa, where the cost of entry for this with one of the big firms is $300,000. Like it's insane.
Easily.
It's insane. And we got our initial down to like 150, 200.
Yeah.
That's it, 3 digits. Yeah. We're looking at stuff that's really, really small scale because there's nothing.
Yeah.
And Canadians think it'll never happen.
No.
They it'll never happen to me. The hurricane was yesterday, whatever.
One of the risks, I think, especially in that space that we're seeing right now, is if you look at the people that are taking on a lot of the contracts, right, at the municipal level, county government level, there's a lot of people outsourcing that, right? It's one person. They are outsourcing it externally. Well, if we actually have a very serious disaster or an event that requires people to be actively engaged, that's really hard when they're outsourced around other parts of the globe as well, right? And that's one risk that I see quite a bit. Now, for us, actually, we do have a couple large companies that we deal with, but for us as well, we have actually a maple syrup farm that we deal with as well, right? And make sure that they know how to respond to that technology portion of the incident. But very similar to you, we know what we're good at and we know what we're not good at, right? For us, it's about partnering with other firms that really kind of bring in that expertise. And a good example of that, we've actually partnered with Global Public Affairs, Canada's kind of largest lobbyist group or whatever there, kind of help out. Again, very kind of cyber focused, but they know the communication, they know what the responsibilities are, because a lot of people think of that outage and think of like ransomware and things like that. Well, no, a lot of businesses, if you're regulated, you got to look at what your responsibilities are if you have an extended outage and there's been a data breach, right? And a lot of people don't realize that that kind of impact can be much worse than what the initial outage or the threat actors might present, right? So the education level's there too.
Well, and a lot of organizations also trip over their own processes internally. So like the risk can sometimes come internally and they don't know that. I can almost guarantee, I'm speaking to a compatriot on this, but you probably, like me, have seen a business where they have mapped every process of their business out, yet they ironically don't know what process mapping is.
Yeah.
So like
100%. And one of the activities I love doing is tabletop exercises where you actually run them through and you give them some injects that maybe they didn't prepare for. That's a really good way to see how robust those processes are and how much you can rely on them. Now, the other thing I like about that as well is that out of a tabletop exercise, or any kind of exercise for that matter, whether it's a full stimulation or not, you're going to get a lot of very simple tangibles that can come out of there, right? And again, it's not, hey, we have to go invest $1 million in this. No, we need to tweak this process. We need to add this step into a process. It's those very kind of tangible things that can come out of there. And to me, in my experience, I've done about 6,000 kind of global scale incidents. Those were always the things that made it twice as long or caused a lot of problems. It was very rarely something technical or one of our tools that had a problem. It was something within the organization, business processes, that interaction where a lot of things fell apart and made what could be a very simple incident into a much larger scale, full-blown one, right? So I get inspired. I agree that kind of stuff is a problem, but I also get inspired by how easy it is to potentially fix once you kind of challenge it, right?
Oh no, and one of the shorts that we put up really early on in the channel launch was related to a particular client. They had $1 million problem that had a fatality of employee risk issue that was solved by about $30.
Oh yeah, and
then all that was required was one communication. Like the issue was an organizational communication issue. Like it's absurd. Like there's so many of them.
And that's the things that we kind of would stress to a lot of people, right? Like it doesn't take much to have pre-canned communications for certain events that buy you time and getting messaging out, right? And one thing, especially in the cyberspace, we try and set to people, that messaging is so important because as soon as you aren't communicating out what's going on, and somebody else does, then you lose control of the narrative, right? And we see that with a lot of companies where we'll wait, no one's going to hear about this, no one's going to care, and then gets into the media, and that's when faults are kind of seeing. Organizations are much more successful when they do very, very simple things like get out ahead of it, right? And again, doesn't take a whole lot of planning. You got a pre-can, a one paragraph communication you have in your back pocket. Beautiful, it's there for us, right? And those very simple things are the ones that we find make a biggest difference. So I love hearing stuff like that.
I feel like I'm talking to a clone. For anyone who's watched the continuity playlist, I heard 5 jargon terms back to back to back that are part of the same video. Like the one on exercise design, let alone running. Like it was just like bing, like outside of exposure to stuff on like the channel, they've never heard the word inject before.
No.
They think they're talking about a needle. Like they don't know what, God forbid you said measle. You know what I mean? Like, this is
another thing that we actually specialize with a lot of people is something we call disruption options. So even if you don't have a whole lot of tools and stuff, and I'll give you an example. Something we did at a large organization was, hey, you're being attacked through the network on this. What would you do? You get your network engineer guys on there. They say, oh, we're going to do this, all the standard steps. Start asking people, well, what if that doesn't work? Well, what if that doesn't work? Sooner or later, you're going to get yanking cables out of the wall, yanking servers out, like real physical type stuff. But through that whole path of asking, well, what if, you're going to get all kinds of different options that you can hopefully disrupt an incident or attack or things that people kind of pull together, right? And again, it doesn't take a whole lot of money. It's just asking your internal experts, okay, if that didn't work, what would we do next? And you start getting more and more extreme options. Those very simple things have helped me out of so many binds because we considered the fact of like, this might not work. This might not work. What if this happens, right? And those very simple activities had paid dividends in the long term in any scenario I've been in.
And I mean, it sounds simple. It's simply asking the question of what if repeatedly, effectively, but people don't do it.
No, they don't.
They just don't. And with other people here, I brought up black swan risks and HILFs and things like that, which you know what that is, but I had to explain it. And we did a thing, a few videos recently talking about those again. And one thing I found interesting about repeatedly asking that what if question is when you go, 5, 6, 7 layers down, you end up actually sort of incidentally covering really black swans, or to that organization's perspective anyways, because you end up with so many layers of redundancy or resiliency or whatever strategy you put in place that some offshoot risk you never considered, you just accidentally prevented potentially or mitigated at minimum, right? People don't really appreciate that you also, sometimes you hit your unknown unknowns.
Oh, for sure.
Which is like, you can't really quantify that value, but it's kind of nice to hit that, right?
Oh,
Like,
100%. And like, for me, that's where something like taking a step away from exercise, where postmortems are super important as well, right? Like being willing after an incident to kind of document what those unknown unknowns were and the unknown knowns and all that kind of stuff, right? And, it's one of those sayings that, a couple different ways I've heard it, but never let a good incident go to waste, right? And And
we've quoted that a few times.
Now, the other one I've heard quite a bit, one of my mentors, actually, he's head of global crisis, or was head of global crisis for JP Morgan and Citi. He always said to me, you're only as good as your last crisis, right? Sure. So you got to make sure that when you do have one, that you are taking the steps to learn absolutely everything you possibly could from that previous one to make sure you can apply it in the next one, right? So I love postmortems for the same thing, that you give people an opportunity. What the heck did we learn during this process, and what do we now know that we didn't know? Because everyone in your organization that's now been through that incident is a little bit more experienced in that crisis, in whatever it took, and you got to pull upon that, because those are the people that are executing your business functions, right? And when you add in that element, it's take that learning when it's there from it.
No, agreed. And come back to the exercise video again. We explain the importance of after-action reports, postmortems, the process in that. And it's not just like when you're doing a debrief, there's different versions. Like people don't really realize the value of the hot wash.
Oh, yeah.
Like you don't wait 2 weeks to ask them. Like you also wait 2 weeks to ask them. Yeah. But the initial 3 seconds after, if you can capture that as quickly as possible, people forget or stop caring. Like you get it immediately. 100%. Unfiltered, they'll swear, whatever. Yeah. But you get the things that you need. And then there's a lot of value there. And people just don't do it.
No.
And they're very bad at doing it.
And from a technical standpoint, even things like logs roll over, logs get lost. A lot of those artifacts are needed, right? So a hot wash and that very simple thing. Hey, okay, what do we need to know now, and what do we need to capture so that we can do that full investigation information down the line, right? So for us, what I always try and do is right before, if I'm on a major incident call, before everyone's off, we kind of do that quick hot wash. What's everyone's responsibility? And then we're getting together in 24 hours to kind of start what that plan's going to be over the next 3 or 4 days, depending on your timelines, to make sure that you guys are in a good spot and learning everything from that. So can't stress it enough that that's a critical part if you hope to improve your situation, for sure.
You'd probably be one of the only people I'm going to see at this conference that would not be surprised that virtually next to no organizations, even in event planning, run incident logs.
No, I am.
They just none of them do. We put out a baby's first incident log video on how to run it a couple weeks ago in Google Sheets off your cell phone. It is like you color it red. It's information management. It's free. Like a lot of these things are so simple, and people just don't do it. It drives me insane. There's kind of duality of this, where the large businesses can afford this service, and it's hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars. The little people are priced out of it. But the things that the little people could do that are priced out of, if they just knew how to do it, would be free. It's crazy.
And I'll give an example. I manage a number of incidents at a global finance institution. All I use is my cell phone, a headset, and Notepad Plus to keep all of my notes in, right? And just a log of time, capture everything, right? I don't care how small it is. Someone brings up an idea, what time did it come in at? Because when you look back, hey, maybe we should have executed on that idea. How do we get information out? It sounds very menial and trivial that you're writing down and logging and everything that's going on, but it makes that look back ever more powerful if you have all that kind of information. And you don't need a crazy tool. You just need something that can add in basic lines of text and then come back to it afterwards, right? And I stress simple is always better during an incident or a crisis of any. You got enough crap to worry about with going on. Have very simple tools that you don't need to worry about. Are they going to work during a crisis, right? They're there, they're simple, and build things around that.
Well, and it's the other great thing with simplicity too is during one of these incidents, simple is good for you for personal end user, yes. But if what's the old saying? The person who shows up is never the person who trained. right? Like, so like if you need to field promote somebody to something, if it's real basic, it's real easy to train them. You've probably seen EMCT and DLAN and all the programs, and they're pretty good. But I've seen a lot of alternatives to those that are they're just too convoluted. Like, it's just insane. There are some organizations I know where you're dealing with basically just out of high school, no job experience, like volunteers. And I'm sorry, if you're getting them off their phone, good luck, but you're not teaching them something complex.
No.
You're just like, you're not. It's not happening. But you need them, and they're the body that shows up, so make it work. Right? So, anyways.
No, it's one of those things, right, where one thing that we see a lot of people buy maybe security tools or things that think they're going to have a solution. And many times it's not configured properly. It's not being actually executed as it should, right? Because like you said, that person maybe didn't have the right experience to implement it and stuff like that. It's an interesting world right now where there is that kind of complexity, but not everyone has the expertise to implement it, right? And that can also give a bit of a false sense of security to executives. Oh, we have this tool now, we're going to be good, right? Well, do you really understand what that tool is doing, what service it's providing, and more than anything else, how it's supporting your critical functions as an organization, right? So all leaders need to make sure that they have that kind of alignment and they're making sure they're getting used to it. And also having realistic expectations about your staff, right? Like, as you mentioned, a junior employee, he's probably very eager, wants to learn, but does he have that support around him so that he can learn and get better and be a better employee for you, right? A lot of organizations don't think that. Look up a guy out of school, we're good, we're the way we're going to go, right? Doesn't always work out like that. It can be great, but you need to make sure the support's there.
No, I think I'd go farther, and I'd say that it usually doesn't work out like that. I would agree with you even more sternly than you're saying right now.
I'm trying to be nice in case there's anyone in that role right now. That
But I mean, we're pretty honest, and we talk about some hard stuff on the channel sometimes, and we try to just be information focused. But look, the reality is that more often than not, no. And you'll walk into a field, and the employer has the expectation that you're walking into the field and you're ready for the job, so they don't train you, and you're walking into the employment expecting to get training, but they're not ready for it. So everyone's kind of cheated out of it. It's a phenomenon that happens with universities a lot right now in the relationship, right? So, no, agreed, fully agree. And this isn't something that's unique to Canada. Across the board, happens all over the place, right? So, very interesting. I can talk to you for about an hour, because I found someone in the same field in this place, and
we have a follow-up as well.
Oh, I have a tripod, believe me. Multiple mics. This is fantastic. I've definitely taken a lot of your time, and we will follow up.
Sure.
Great to meet you. Here's a nice COVID-friendly fist bump.
Perfect.
There you go. Have a good one.